Hey everybody, Ben here for the Bonehead podcast, and welcome to Chaos Dwarf starting rosters. We are looking at starting rosters for your leagues for all the teams that have been spawned in the Blood Bowl 2020 rulebook, and now we're looking at all the teams that have been released in the Teams of Legend PDF. So Games Workshop put out a Teams of Legend PDF that included Amazons, Chaos Dwarf, Norse, High Elf, Vampires and Tomb Kings. They don't make these teams currently. They don't make miniatures for them at the moment. But they provided the rules free for any player that has that team already that wants to run it in Blood Bowl Season 2. So now we're going to look at what you can get for $1 million with Chaos Dwarves. But before we dive into that, we really need to look at the key changes, things that have happened to the Chaos Dwarf team. So, the Minotaur. The Minotaur for the Chaos Dwarf team is an enslaved Minotaur. So instead of having unchanneled fury, or whatever it is, it's now got animal savagery. Now, animal savagery is the one where if it fails the roll, it punches a friendly dude. So having hobgoblins standing near the Minotaur is going to be very, very useful. On the plus side, it means that you will never fail a blitz with the Minotaur if you've got someone there for it to hit. And if it doesn't, then it boneheads. So it's kind of better, but also kind of worse. So the Chaos Dwarf Minotaur is finally a different Minotaur. Now let's just have a quick look and see if it gets mutations on a double. It does indeed. So it stayed the same cost. Still got strength on a normal. Still has frenzy, still has horns, still has mighty blow, still has thick skull. But instead of having that unchanneled fury that was basically wild animal, it now has animal savagery instead. The second change that we've got is the Bull Centaurs. So the Bull Centaurs have stayed the same in absolutely every way. They've even got a passing stat. So these guys are 130k, movement 6, strength 4, agility 4+, passing 6+, which is kind of what we expected. Armor 10+, sprint, sure feet, thick skull, general and strength on normals, and agility on a secondary. So they haven't changed at all. The only thing to mention with these guys is that break tackle used to turn their dodges from 4+ into 2+, because it used to give them agility 4. The rules have changed, and because they're strength 4, they only get +1 to their break tackle. So break tackle used to be a really no-brainer skill for Bull Centaurs. Now all it's doing is taking their dodge from a 4+ to a 3+. So bear that in mind as you're growing your team, because they will not be quite as agile as they used to be. The Chaos Dwarves got a passing stat of 6+, and Hobgoblins got a passing stat of 4+. So Chaos Dwarves are otherwise exactly the same as standard Dwarves, with the exception that they get mutation on a secondary. Hobgoblins do not get mutations. They're 6'3", 3+, 4+, 8+, no skills, 40k. Actually quite a good value player. General skills on normal, and they haven't changed at all. Rerolls are still 70k. Now this team gets Badlands Brawl, Favoured of, and World Edge Super League, so they get quite a lot of star players. Now we're not going to look at that today. We'll have a look at that when we look at our tournament builds for this team, but in that regard Chaos Dwarves got boosted as well. However, your team is going to be far too expensive because you've got some of the better positionals in the game, so the chances of you being able to run a star player in a league is pretty low, at least at the beginning of Blood Bowl 2020. The thing also to bear in mind is that not a single player gets passing access, even on a double in Chaos Dwarf. Now with 70k rerolls, it might be tempting to take less rerolls and brew up somebody to take the leader skill to kind of fill it out. Not happening with your Chaos Dwarf team, so bear that in mind. So the first list we've got for you is the No Centaurs list. So this comes in at 980. You get 1 Minotaur, you get 6 Chaos Dwarves, you get 4 Hobgoblins, and 3 rerolls. So let's start from the bottom and work our way up very quickly. Like I said, rerolls for this team are 70k apiece, so you're spending over a fifth of your team value here on rerolls. Remember in League, those then go up to 140k, which is absolutely brutal. So having 3 rerolls off the bat is really important. Chaos Dwarves have an agility of 4+, the Minotaur also has an agility of 4+, and the Hobgoblins have an agility of 3+, and nobody has any kind of ball handling skills. So these 3 rerolls are going to come into play for that. Your Chaos Dwarves, however, work brilliantly in combat, and the Minotaur doesn't do so bad anyway. So you won't need the rerolls for combat, you will need the rerolls for everything else. Now this roster, you get the big guy and you get all 6 Chaos Dwarves. So you're in a very good position to dominate the line of scrimmage. Only 4 Hobgoblins is going to feel a little bit light if one guy goes down. But you are playing a tier 1 elite team. So don't let the Hobgoblins fool you. This team is expensive to run. And you do get bang for your buck. So as your team develops with this build, you've got your Minotaur to be the blitzer. You've got the Chaos Dwarves to control the line. You've got the Hobgoblins to do things with balls. And you get to slowly brew up and save up that 130k for your Centaurs. 1 Centaur, 2 Centaur, and you are in a great position. Or you could just start out with both of them straight off the bat. I think this roster comes in at 980 as well. So instead of the Minotaur, you get 2 Bull Centaurs. How does the maths work on that? Well, actually, you have to drop a Chaos Dwarf as well. So you drop a Chaos Dwarf. Well, you drop the Minotaur, replace it with the Bull Centaur, and then you use the spare cash, essentially, to upgrade a Chaos Dwarf to another Bull Centaur. So looking at this roster does come in at 980. This is my second roster on the spreadsheet. Or was it the first? That's the first. So yeah, 5, that comes in at 980. You've got 11 players, 3 rerolls. The same thing we said about the rerolls is still key. So with these players, Bull Centaurs, getting block is absolutely huge. We spoke about break tackle. Giving them tackle makes some really good safeties. Frenzy in this roster, because you are not running a Minotaur, could be useful as well, but starting with block as its league is really useful, and giving them Mighty Blow makes them a very effective point and click removal piece. Chaos Dwarves and Dwarves, regardless of what kind of Chaos Dwarf blocker you are, you need guard. Getting guard absolutely helps dominate this line. So with this team, you have got much more maneuverability with those Bull Centaurs. They're sprint and sure feet, so they are essentially movement 9. It's a risk, but they are essentially movement 9. They're movement 9, strength 4. So these guys weren't out, or the rules weren't out for these when we talked about the best runners in Blood Bowl, but these are up there. Movement 9, strength 4. These guys can do some serious damage on offense or defense. And the last league roster we have for you today is a hybrid, because we like to meet in the middle. So exactly 1 million, you get 1 Minotaur, 1 Bull Centaur, 5 Chaos Dwarves, 4 Hobgoblins, and 3 rerolls. So you kind of get the last roster, but you've boosted a Bull Centaur to a Minotaur. You're still 1 Chaos Dwarf down, that's 70k to save up for, and you've got another Bull Centaur that's 130k. So you're kind of looking to save 200k. This team will score touchdowns, but it won't score elf level touchdowns, so you're going to be saving for a little while to get those pieces. However, what it does do is you've got 1 Bull Centaur that can be a very effective ball carrier and a safety, and you've got the Minotaur still who can go around having a jolly good time blitzing. On top of that, you've got 5 Chaos Dwarves. Now that's not 6 Chaos Dwarves, but 5 Chaos Dwarves are still 5 Chaos Dwarves, better than any other Chaos Dwarf, any other non-Chaos Dwarf team, so you've got a dominant line of scrimmage. Still just 1 less player. You've still got 4 Hobgoblins to do the rest of the stuff. So skills wise, as you develop your Minotaur, you can save up for that double, but quite frankly with a Mino, when it gets to 6 SP, you want to take Juggernaut just to make its blitzes far more effective. Now the Minotaur, where it's got animal savagery, is going to be more effective, so taking Juggernaut to make it do blitzy things is going to be way more beneficial. But bear in mind, you might lose 1 or 2 Hobgoblins from this, because it's going to punch them when it's too angry. Or you could let it Bonehead, it's up to you. Hobgoblins themselves, sneaking, kick, dirty player, or sure hands onto one of them. You can basically develop each individual one. Again, won't go into too much detail on that. But realistically, you don't want to start with any less than rerolls than 3, because you can't do stuff with the ball. If you really wanted to do it, you could drop a reroll, take the 6 Chaos Dwarf, and start out with all your positionals and go for the max SPP grind in a league. That might not be a terrible way to do it, but winning games gets you more money, because more touchdowns equals more cash, and more cash equals more players. And I'd rather save up 70k for a Chaos Dwarf than 140k for my 3rd reroll. You can make do with 5 Chaos Dwarfs. So I've sold you on the Chaos Dwarf team, but you don't have one. And like we said, Games Workshop don't currently make one. I reckon they're going to brew one up. I reckon they're going to change a few things, but I really, really cannot wait to see what the team looks like when it lands. Willy Miniatures have got a fantastic team. So we've got 2 teams for you, and the first one is this Willy Miniatures team. Come on. Right, 79.95 euros. It comes with 6 Chaos Dwarves, 6 Hobgoblins, 2 Bull Centaurs, and the Minotaur. So you get an absolute full whack of a team. You will be left with nothing unless you want to go for a crazy Hobgoblin build. And I really like the dynamism of this. It's kind of old school with the Chaos. Not as old school as it could be, but it's not bad at all. I could definitely recommend this, but it is very steep. We're talking 80 euros plus postage for UK guys. For America, that's going to put it on the way to £100 probably. So definitely worth picking up on sale if you want to run a Chaos Dwarf team, and Chaos Dwarf teams are pretty good. So that's Woolly Miniatures for 1 and Gaz Pez Arts for 2. So at the moment, this team is flagged up at 89 euros. There's 127 euros crossed out though, so it could just be on sale for now. Very similar style. If you look at this, they've got the big hats. That's the difference. The other team is more chaosy. This one is more Chaos Dwarfy. It's got the hats and the beards. So this team comes with 6 Chaos Dwarves, 2 Bulls, and 7 Hobgoblins. So a little bit more expensive, and you don't get the Minotaur. Now, there's loads of Minotaur miniatures that are really good. There's my one. So if the Mino's not something you're too worried about, then it really depends on which Chaos Dwarves you like best. There are a few other teams, but these are my kind of top 2 picks. Quite frankly, I've seen a lot of good work done with the Blood Bowl Dwarf kit and some skulls and some Chaos Spikes for those 6 Chaos Blockers, and then converted Goblins into Hobgoblins. Bull Centaurs are very tricky to convert. It can be done, but it's a lot of work. But if you've got 6 Dwarves and you've got some Goblins and you are happy to pay 30 quid for a couple of Bull Centaur miniatures from either one of these companies, you're there with a very interesting team. So that wraps up Chaos Dwarf starting rosters. 3 very different rosters there. There are more. You could go all Hobgoblins. You can just max out your rerolls. It really is up to you. And the cool thing about this Dwarf team is there isn't really a bad one. If you've got Bull Centaurs and no Minotaur, if you've got Minotaur and no Bull Centaurs, if you've got both, if you've got none, your team is still going to be able to perform really well. The Chaos Dwarf blockers are some of the best players in the game, as are the Bull Centaurs, and you all know how I feel about Minotaurs. They're okay, and I think this Minotaur might be the best Minotaur that ever Minotaured on a Minotaur pitch. So a lot of good stuff here from the Chaos Dwarf team. I'm very pleased to see these back because I know there's a lot of Chaos Dwarf players out there that love it. And while the team is very, very strong, it is beatable. The team works hard, but you can beat it, and it feels like a fair fight. You feel accomplished when you've beat Chaos Dwarves. You don't feel ashamed if you lose to them, and that's actually quite useful in Blood Bowl. I cannot wait to see what Games Workshop are going to do to the team when and if they get around to it again. However, if they don't, then for this entire edition we have got all the old school stuff, and we are great at finding new miniatures for it. So let me know in the comments below if there's another Chaos Dwarf team you like the look of, which one of these rosters you like, how you think Chaos Dwarves are going to fare in Blood Bowl 2020, and we will be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Thanks for watching.